Three, two, one. We're live, gentlemen.
Hi and welcome. This is Kevin Leipzig, host of Contractor TV. Our channel is focused on providing content to help contractors start, grow, and manage a successful construction business. We're sponsored by the Contractors Resource Center, which specializes in providing legal, financial, and insurance services for residential service contractors. Today on Contractor TV, we've got two gentlemen here, Jeff Glass from MetaTech Web Solutions, and we have Louis Vandervalk from Blue Crocus Solutions. I always get tongue-tied with that. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing
Good,
awesome.
Kevin.
Excited to
Awesome.
be here.
So the goal today is we want to jump into and really cover some basics of how to help that newly licensed contractor get out of the gate and get it out of the gate strong with branding and marketing and lead generation, and specifically, help alleviate the anxiety that a lot of newly licensed contractors have. In my business at the Contractors Resource Center, I speak daily to the newly licensed contractor. And although we specialize in helping them get that insurance foundation, whether it's liability or workers' comp if they have employees, there's always a discussion of what else can I help you with? And more often than not, it's I need help with a legal resource for contracts, and marketing and branding always comes up. So that's really what we're going to talk about tonight. I thank you ahead of time, Jeff and Lewis, for carving out time here before the holidays. Um, Jeff, why don't we start with you? Maybe just a brief background on yourself and a little bit about MetaTech, and then we'll go over to Lewis, and then we'll start talking about some tips, some suggestions, and specific strategies that can help contractors be successful. So Jeff, go ahead. Maybe give us a little background on yourself and MetaTech.
Sure. Thank you, Kevin. Background goes to even the contractor side and back to California. I raised in San Jose, California. I was raised there, and my background was learning and being around contractor family. My grandfather was a building inspector, part of San Jose Unified School District, and taught me entrepreneurship and put me into private school. I wasn't taught a lot about how on the building side as much as I grew in business. I learned a lot of the marketing side on how to market businesses. So been involved a lot with contractors, been doing marketing now for over 16 years and work with a lot of blue collar companies coming from that family background, and had a natural, I guess, proclivity, if you would, toward working with people that were in that industry of, painters, plumbers, junk removal businesses, gutter repair, roofing, and just seemed to be a fit. I'd even owned a service business at one point. I had been a contractor through my partner. We had our contractor's license and we were working, but I always gravitated towards the marketing side. I enjoyed learning and applying how to get business. MetaTech, our background is we are a web development company, and we also do SEO, search engine optimization, social media management, branding, coaching, really working with our clients on navigating them through on how to build their business. So we come in an area to serve and kind of a grander scale of a lot of companies will just do one thing. We're more of a hub that we offer several services in the marketing space, online and also offline, which I think we'll be getting a little bit into today.
Yeah, perfect. Lewis, a little bit about yourself and Blue Crocus Solutions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't I come from the opposite side of the country of California. So, born in New Hampshire, we moved to Canada, where I reside now in New Brunswick. And I grew up doing trades as well. So, my dad is a red seal carpenter. That's kind of the licensed version of a carpenter up here in Canada, and a licensed concrete layer as well. So, I was always around that. Did that for 4 years out of high school. Ended up getting a degree in mechanical engineering after those 4 years of doing construction, and then turned back around and decided to jump back in and work with the trades in marketing. It's something that I enjoy, and then basically been doing that since 2019, and we started a junk removal company in 21. So it was a way for me to take everything we'd learned on the marketing side, which is all fine and good on paper, right? But let's actually test this. Let's see how it goes. We saw an opportunity, and I got to test out. As Jeff said, we're going to talk about some of the offline stuff. I love the online stuff. I think it's important, but some of the offline stuff you can do is almost more fun and more impactful because no one's doing it. So it was fun to
Yeah.
test some of those things. And so Blue Crocus kind of helps people with some of the stuff we've tried in our junk removal business, as well as our core is web design and SEO, helping people get a foundation there and get up and going and get their 24/7 salesperson working for them.
Perfect. Perfect. So I'm talking to the right guys, right? um, so we talk about online marketing and offline marketing. Let's jump a little bit into let's go with the offline marketing because people I'm sure hear about SEO, web development, Google pages, and there's a lot of noise out there about those topics, and we'll jump into those. But let's start with the offline marketing because I know both of you guys have some great ideas and tactics on what contractors should be thinking about or could be doing right away for some offline marketing. Jeff, let's start with you. What's kind of top of mind for you on some tactics and things that newly licensed contractors can be thinking about?
Yeah, I thank you, Kevin. I'll frame it in a little bit of a story, and
Yeah,
that's my background too as well. I do some writing and storytelling, and newly published author as of 2022. But when I was in the space of working with maintenance, I owned a gutter cleaning, gutter repair company. We had opened up the contractor side when we partnered with another contractor, and I was listening to a motivational talk. I like listening to different things that kind of get the day positive and get things going. One of those old inventions you might remember, Kevin, called CDs. I had one
yes,
plugged into the
yeah,
car, and I'm listening to it, and it's somebody in the financial services space, and he's
yeah,
talking about how he grew his business so quickly. And it's a bit of a Q and A. He's talking to his audience. You can hear the audience kind of start to sandbag him a little bit and say, "Well, that's great for you, but what about me? How do I make money?" And I'm listening to this. I'm in the marketing space, even though I'm in blue collar. So this is a really good transition spot for, I believe, for me to start with, to kind of how things
yeah,
really exploded on the maintenance side. So he talked about every time he get a new client, he would send a cake to their office, and he said he got business, or at least a lead, every single time. And I'm thinking in my mind, no way, BS. Nothing works
right,
100% of the time, right? But me also being entrepreneurial, I said I got to try it. So one of the first things I did is I said, okay, I'm going to try this idea of sending a cake. So put my business swag on top of the cake, name of the business, cards, hired somebody because I was much more introverted back then, which worked to my favor as I take you through this process. And we had cakes dropped off with property management companies. And I hired someone to go drop off the cakes. It'd go through a process where the cake would reach the front desk person and they'd take it to the back. And now you have people asking, what's the occasion? Who sent it?
yeah. Whose birthday is it? Yeah,
Yeah, right. They're inherently celebratory items, right? So it's different
yeah,
than coffee or donuts or these types of things. So kind
right.
of what I thought was a silly idea or something that wouldn't even work. It helped me grow from working with 4 property management companies, which I didn't even really identify as a vertical service, to 88 property management companies. So we grew from 2 employees to 21 employees in 4 states.
Hmm.
And not a great website, didn't have MetaTech or Lewis back then, right, to help out with
Yeah,
it, didn't have Blue Crocus to come in and help out.
yeah,
And but we had, a hunger. We wanted to grow our business. And wouldn't you know it, I got a lead every single time, every single cake, from something just what I thought was a silly idea. We went and applied it boots to the ground. Next thing you know, the person who ran the office would call and say, "Hey, we received your cake. Thank you. What is it you do again?" Even though all my marketing's right there in front of them, they still want to
yeah. It
ask.
opens up that conversation.
Right. And the next thing you know, they're asking, "Well, hey, can you go check out some properties for me?"
Yeah, yeah. So, question: when
Fantastic.
you dropped off the cake, again, I like the theme, kind of celebratory of whose part. Someone's probably thinking, whose party is it, right? Or
Right,
whose birthday did I forget? Um,
right.
when you're walking into, in this case, a property manager, um, what are they typically asking you, and how do you respond? I mean, and do you have a name ahead of time of who you're dropping that cake off for? Doing a little intel before you're opening up that lobby door?
Yeah, at the same time, right around that same time of hearing this study, if you will, which I refer to it now as a study,
Yeah.
something that we learned and we applied, is I was introduced to a property management group in California called RHA, Rental Housing. I believe it was Rental Housing Authority, and
Got it.
that's now called CCA in California, and it's a hub of property management companies. And I joined them, and a lot of the culture was, sponsoring a golf hole or going to different events. I was newly married, little kids at home, so I had to get creative and I learned to get good at email. So basically for me it was like a barter. I signed up, I got a directory. Back then it was like a one of those paper handheld type
Right.
things, right?
Right. Right.
And I put it in my database, which would now be a CRM.
Right.
I started emailing and text messaging folks, letting them know, "Hey, I'm part of the organization now. I'm part of the association, and we're going to be stopping by, and we will start dropping off, cakes." But basically, it was just a light introduction, letting them know, basically, I'm in the club and I'd like to introduce myself. Very light approach, but we
Yeah.
were beta testing it. We didn't have this set format that came later as we experimented with it and had some success. So there's a lot of suggestions on the periphery of like, hey, what worked and what didn't work and what I do differently now. But we
Right.
just ready, fire, aim. We just jumped in and started
Yeah. So
doing it.
you did a combination of just kind of cold calling, if you will, or cold caking, dropping
Yeah,
off
cold caking,
the
right?
cake,
Yeah,
right?
right.
To doing a little intel and finding out who the right person is, and then saying, "Oh, this cake is for so and so."
You're right.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
doing cold
It,
outreach, I guess, is how I'd frame it. That's the
yeah.
boots on the ground, that's the offsite model that we utilize, and we still encourage and coach it and have seen results through several different industries today.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And what was the name of that association again? You think that their current name?
CCA or
CCA.
CAA, I believe. California Apartment Association, CAA.
Got it. Okay. There's another one to share with those that are watching here, especially if you're in California, that I have some contractors that work with BOMA. That's BOMA, and that's the Building Owners and Managers Association. And those are great folks to connect with as well because they need their properties either rehabbed or they need a remodeler or the HVAC guy or the plumbers. So um, the Building Owners and Managers Association. I'll also share, what we're talking about. I'm thinking about it. These groups and associations. I have been active in two associations, and a lot of my contractor clients have been active in the CBIA, which is the California Building Industry Association, and NARI, NARI, all these acronyms, which is the National Association of Remodelers. And the advantage, like you mentioned, Jeff, it's an opportunity to build a new relationship, especially as you join these groups.
Mhm.
Even if it's just picking up the phone and saying, "Hi, this is Kevin. I'm with the Contractors Resource Center. I'd like to know more about what you do. I'd like to refer business to you." Right.
Right.
And I've found that is a successful tactic as opposed to, calling as a new member and trying to sell them something. Call them as an association member and learn about their business and you see, how can I bless your business? How can I help you? What kind of clients are you looking for? And then try to feed them some business. So
Mhm.
again, those two associations, National Association of Remodelers and the California Building Industry Association. Jeff, any other kind of offline
Yep.
tactics or?
One point to add to that, so yeah, to clarify, CAA, for California, but
Yeah.
for national, it would be NAAHQ. That's National apartment association headquarters. That's a really good resource to start with for
Yeah.
contractors or to any location because you could have somebody or a company in Syracuse, New York, managing a property potentially in
Mm,
San Diego, California. So
good
that's a
point.
good
Yeah.
place, a good hub to start with, and then work toward your local state and county and communities. So I would start big and then work your way down to getting locally connected with apartment associations, real estate associations,
Yep.
storage unit associations is another one for people that are involved with moving or anything on the cleaning side or service side. But for contractors, there's so many different contractor groups,
Yeah.
especially in your state, California. There's a
Yep.
lot there.
Yeah.
From there,
Roofing associations,
yes,
HVAC associations, plumbing groups,
right.
and that California Building Industry, excuse me, California Building Industry Association, their parent group is the NAHB, the National Association of Home Builders. So throughout the U.S., contractors can plug in and just jump on Google and say, local construction association, and you'll find a list of your local trade groups. Um, so great, Lewis. Um, you want to share a couple ideas with us? I guess put
Yeah,
you
I'll
on the
follow the
spot in
alphabet
terms
soup
of
here.
offline tactics that
Yeah,
either you practiced in your business or maybe some of your contractor clients have had success with.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's interesting because Jeff mentioned this. You got to have a hunger. I think anybody who's in business, if you're not, if you don't have that hunger, then you should get out and go back and be an employee. I know that's probably not what people want to hear, but the
Yeah,
hunger that I've seen, and I've seen this with people who start with zero marketing budget, they have a hunger and they have a desire to get out there and connect with people, and that's what the cake to the office, cold caking, if we will. That's a fantastic way
yeah,
for low cost to get in front of people and make a mark that they're going to remember, right? And so I heard a quote, I think it was by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he said the method can be repeated, but if you don't understand the reason behind the method, then
yeah,
don't there's no reason to really do the method, right? And I see a lot of people, they're going to try and copy the cake thing. I have one here that we tried, but the method or the reason behind the method is to get in front of people and be a pattern interrupt. That's what the cake is. No one sends a cake to your office.
yeah,
Maybe donuts, but even still, no one really does those in-person things because it's inconvenient. Let's just mass email 10,000 people. There's a place for that, but if you can get in front of your ideal contacts and really have something that stands out, that's key. So that leads to something that we tried here. So as we were getting going with the junk removal, I was looking at how can we connect with people that and businesses that local people already know, like, and trust. How can we work off of businesses that have already developed themselves, and how can we also work off of a know, like, and trust factor that everyone likes, right? So I said, restaurants, everybody likes food. I was kind of looking at how can we use gift cards to incentivize people to share out the good word about our junk removal company.
right.
And I hit on restaurants, and I said, if I can get gift cards, restaurants to give me some gift cards, then I can run giveaways on Facebook using those gift cards of people that restaurants that people already know, like, and trust, and then they're gonna that's gonna create some momentum. So that's what I did. I pulled a list of, I think it was 150 restaurants here locally, and I did send out an email campaign for this, and then kind of worked with the people that responded. But I said, hey, we're starting up a junk removal company here locally. I love your restaurant, and everyone in the local community does. What I'd like to do is you give me a $50 gift card, 50 or $100 gift card, and then I'll run a giveaway on Facebook. It'll give you guys some exposure, and
Hmm.
obviously it's going to help us. So
I
we'll
like
do
that.
all
Did
the
I hear
legwork,
giveaway? Actually, they were giving the card
giving
to
it
you
away.
in exchange for some PR and branding.
Exactly, and then
Yeah,
I was running on their coattails and the branding that they had developed, right? So I
yeah,
did that. I got like 15 different restaurants responded and said, "Yeah, we'll put it on the counter with your name on it." Like there was very very little resistance for the people that responded. And then that's what we did. We ran a giveaway. It was very simple. It was just tag 4 of your friends in the comments and we'll do a giveaway. I found like a week and a half was about the sweet spot. We got a lot. We got some, a bunch of new followers on the page, but we got a lot of recognition in the community. and the restaurants loved it too. Or the we did restaurants, we did like some boutique cupcake shops that people loved. Like I kind of reached out to a variety of people. They get people coming in spending money. They're probably going to spend more money eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, and
But it,
Lewis, and clarify for me. So you'd contact the restaurants and say, are you open to, providing a gift card for us? And in exchange, I'll run a contest with your restaurant name on our Facebook page. So it's
yeah.
getting them branding. And then clarify for me, what was the contest? How would somebody win?
So what we did is we said, hey, at this date we're gonna randomly draw someone who tags 4 of their friends in the comments. Each comment of 4 friends is an entry. And then
Okay.
we just did I did a live Facebook giveaway, put all the names in a random name generator and picked the winners. So we did this like week after week, and it's a lot of fun. It
Yeah.
creates some community support behind you. You get a lot of the same people entering every time. Um, and it,
Yeah.
it really created some momentum for us when we got going, and it really didn't cost us anything but time, right? Which a lot of people have when they get going. But it was my way to try and get out there and connect with people in a way that was a pattern interrupt. And I formed some relationships with some awesome restaurant owners too that
Yeah.
I wouldn't have connected with them otherwise.
Right, right. That's 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 awesome. So I'm excited because we're getting completely different types of content than you hear about, in that
But it's
traditional
both
marketing.
food. It's funny that they're both food, right? Everyone
Yeah,
loves food,
yeah,
no matter who
the
you are.
cake, the cold caking, and we'll have to come up with a name with cold carding or
Yeah.
whatever. But no, I love that idea. One quick idea to jump on Jeff's concept of the cake. Um, I'm thinking if I was to do that, you don't have to be super talented to put. Um, I'm thinking like getting a graphic image on top of that cake, and maybe you did that, right? Just to buy some cheap frosting at the grocery store, and whether you're using a pastry bag or somehow get the company's name on the top of that cake or whoever you're trying to celebrate. That might be, again, depending how talented you are in the kitchen, but if you can pipe out a name or bring it to the grocery store and say, hey, can you put XYZ company's name on here and pay them $5 to do that? Again, it just personalizes that cake experience.
I think that'd be good. My son was showing me a show. He's 9, and I can't remember the name of it, but the audience had to guess. It was like almost like a game show type thing. They had to guess which was real, and they'd create like a prop, and he had to
Oh,
guess if it was a cake or not a cake,
yeah,
and they put the knife through it, and I thought, "Man, that would be really cool." So we have a client, Vets All Junk, and I thought it'd be cool to have, like, some military boots or, like, a military tank, and it almost looks so real, and you're looking at
clever.
this because what's gonna happen next? They're gonna take a picture of it, they're gonna put it on Instagram, and
Yeah,
I think it could work both ways. You could be there to celebrate their brand, you could be there to celebrate and introduce your brand, but I
yeah,
think, like Lewis is talking about, it disrupts. It's that factor, that wow factor, and I think what people are looking for is bringing something of value, right? Make my day a little bit better, solve my problem,
yeah,
make a connection, and getting into post-COVID, I think there's a huge draw back to community, back to connecting with people. And I don't think
yeah,
it's in person or virtual. I think it's an and. And I think we're bringing those worlds together. And that's the way that I look at it and kind of a holistic approach of what are some areas that work over here? What are some more areas that work over there? How do we bring them all together? Because when I'm bringing on a client and I'm educating them about Google, for example, back in the day, I worked for Yellow Pages at one point, and they thought Google was some joke. Like, yeah, it's gonna fly by. It's just this little thing that's not really gonna work out. And a lot of
yeah,
people put their eggs in one basket and put out lots of money for these large Yellow Page ads, thinking that's gonna drive my business. When someone's coming on and they're in the contractor field, I'm gonna tell them 35, 40% of your business from Google, if you're fortunate. There are so many different areas online and offline to drive your business. So some people will see so much success with Google Ads or SEO or building a great funnel online and think, okay, that's going to drive all my business, all my income. And it's not, I'm not saying Goliath Google is going anywhere tomorrow or they're going to be as, prehistoric now as Yellow Pages seem today in 2022. But I think we need to look at where we're at as a culture, and people want communities. People are going to go to their community for their contractor. So if I'm looking for a painter, I'm looking for a plumber, I'm looking for a GC to come help build my house or put an add-on for my garage, I'm going to my Facebook community. I'm going to Lewis. I'm going to Kevin. I'm going to people that I already know that are maybe 1 or 2 degrees of separation from
Yeah.
these folks. And if people can have an understanding of like, you're in business, but now you're in a business to build relationships. And from those relationships, you build a community. Well, maybe they don't have all the energy to build a community. So you go where communities are already built and you could be the new person in the tribe. Well, like tribes work, what are you going to bring of value to that tribe? And that tribe is going to be responsive to the level of the value that you're gonna bring, okay?
Right.
So
Right.
whatever somebody identifies, if it's bringing food, if it's bringing education, we're on a podcast right now. We're on a Zoom meeting. This is gonna be on different platforms, YouTube, we're on Zoom, it's also on gonna be on TikTok, so setting up a stage. I am a really good friends with another financial advisor. And I asked him, I said, how much business he had been doing a podcast or actually a radio show is how he started out since 1986 or 87. And I asked him, I said, how much business do you get from your show? He said, all of it. One way or another, all of my business comes from my show because he created an educational platform where he's bringing
Giving
value.
value.
That's right. Everybody has something to bring. It's like a potluck. Everybody has something they can bring to the potluck. In business, it's the same type of concept. Everybody has something to bring. Cakes just happen to work out. That was something that worked out and we did very well, and we were able to complement it with our online marketing. But I think like Lewis is talking about, I think 2002 right now, where we're at November, December, is we're in, I believe, a very primitive time when it comes to business. It's a time of opportunity. And but you have to go and look for business instead of sitting in this group where people are waiting for their phone to ring. I think both are important. We need to
Right.
drive business toward us, but we need to drive towards it. And eventually you build up enough contact and database that you're able to scale your company. But if you're brand new as a business owner, one of the most immediate things I believe you can do is identify ways and places online and offline to create community.
Yeah. Great points. And I can testify to, myself starting the Contractors Resource Center a little less than a year ago. One of the things I did as a strategy, and I think, Jeff, you and I spoke about this a while ago when I was looking to brand the Contractors Resource Center, and it's just starting to pay off. I mean, it's not an um, immediate ROI, but the value of joining, like you said, large groups. So myself looking at large contractor groups or contractor association groups, joining these associations and getting involved in the social media platforms that are out there is not a lot of money to invest, right? There's time. Time is money, but it's a quick and efficient way to essentially get your brand out there. And like you said, just start dropping value or dropping tips that you think that group would be helpful for. Specific examples I started, and if anybody's watching this in California wants to connect with other trades and other contractors and build relationships, as well as get an occasional lead from homeowners that are posting into these groups looking for contractors. I started a group called California Contractor. Didn't take long to set it up. The first few weeks I had one member, another day two members, and the point here is over time, right now that group I think is almost 20,000 contractors. Now they're not all contractors, but they're realtors, they're folks that want to build relationships with builders and contractors. And yeah, it's taken almost a year, but now we have almost 20,000 in that group. And to kind of um, snowball off of that, and again, is if you're a contractor joining these other groups, there's groups on Facebook, um, HVAC contractor California, plumbing contractor California, roofing contractor California. And I own several of them, but there's thousands of them out there, and that's an immediate thing you can do to start getting your name out there and building relationships to get work. Um,
Yes.
yeah, as opposed to, again, I think more the traditional way of spending 5 grand or 10 grand or whatever that money is to start a website, right? I think websites are important, but I certainly see in working with new contractors that more and more people are leveraging the social channels before investing in building their brand on a website. And what do you think, Lewis? What
I, I agree. I think any way that you can connect with the community, I think Facebook groups are great. I've started a few local ones,
yeah,
and the buy and sell groups. I encourage people, our clients, post what you're doing to your
yeah,
business
share the
Facebook
pictures what
page.
your project is.
Yeah, and then share interesting stuff or informative stuff. The more you can educate rather than, hey, this is what we do, give us a call because we're desperate over here and we're just starting. The more you
Right.
can educate people, the better. I have found I used to do a lot of reselling on Facebook. And if you can drop stuff at around 5 o'clock on Friday, and I've tested this with a few clients, and I think it works pretty much anywhere because Friday people are getting off, and the people that like to go yard sailing, they're figuring out when the yard sales are Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Or
They're
Sunday.
planning their day out.
They're planning their day out. They're like, all right, let's go spend all the money we made this week on doodads that are going to clog up our garage. Well, those same people,
Yeah.
they're scrolling the buy and sell groups, and if you post an interesting time lapse of in junk removal, for example, of a shed that you've demoed, or if you're a contractor, maybe there's a bathroom time lapse of, different stages of the bathroom build. That catches people's attention, and if you drop it in there around 5 on Friday, you're gonna get people looking at it, interacting with it,
Yeah.
and you're going to get over time some jobs off of that. That's just the way it works if you're consistent with it. So I recommend people, at a minimum, drop something of value or interest or entertainment in the groups at least once a week. If it's going to be once, do it on Friday.
Right.
You can do it more. Some groups don't allow more than one post, about business a week, but be in those groups. There's probably 20 to 30 to 50 in your
Yeah.
area that you can
And
be
can you speak a
regularly.
little bit about, I guess, for those that are watching this that are not, these are builders and contractors. They're not digital marketers, right? Um, I learned the hard way, and certainly Jeff helped, and I had to reach out and Google how to do these Facebook pages. But speak, Lewis, a little bit to, I guess, the process. In other words, you have to have your own personal Facebook group first, right? To be able to create a group if you want to create a group. And then talk to us a little bit about, because I've struggled with this early on. Do I post as Kevin Leipsic in these groups and brand my name, or do I post as the Contractors Resource Center and brand that? And I guess there's value in both, but I want to be able to help that contractor that's watching this now and thinking, okay, I have my uh, Bob the Builder Facebook group or the Facebook page. It's my page, but do I join as myself, Bob the Builder, or do I join as Bob the Builder Incorporation? Or you
Mm,
know what I'm saying? So
I
walk
hear
us
what you're
through a little
saying.
bit about that process and maybe some tips.
Yeah, so I haven't done a ton of split testing. What I did is I joined. I'll tell you what I did and what's worked. You can definitely split test it, like try different things. But what
Yeah,
I did is we would post to our business page. So you've got your personal page. You've got to have a personal Facebook page to do all of this.
right.
So that's it's kind of predicated on that. Then you're going to build a business Facebook page, and then you're going to start posting to that. So in the example of a time lapse, like I was mentioning there, you'd post that to your business page, and then you can share posts from your business page to any group. So I would be sharing the post in as Lewis, but it would be sharing the post from the business page.
Mm,
So then it would
okay.
be me as a person sharing in the branded content from the business page.
Right. Right.
So they would still get that, that little brand, equity would jog their mind a little bit, or they'd know where to go or call if they saw it. So that's how I did it, because I kind of thought through. I was in a lot of the groups as myself personally. I didn't join a ton of the groups as the business, but I could still share posts in.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeff, I mean, you manage quite a few groups as well. How are you kind of, you know, differentiating between branding Jeff Glass or MetaTech Web Solutions? I mean, any tips or suggestions on, you know, what you're doing to join and get involved and brand yourself in these different Facebook groups and communities?
I think I think philosopher Jay-Z says, "I'm not just a businessman, I'm a businessman," right? I am the business. And,
Beautiful.
only quote you'll hear from me about Jay-Z. There's a good one from
Right.
Mike Tyson too. But, Jay-Z, I think, illustrated with that one little sentence that when we put ourselves as the brand, people wanna identify with the human being. We don't identify as much with a name or inanimate objects as much as we would unless it's a very large brand like Starbucks or Apple. When it's a
Yeah.
service brand, it's call Greg, call Daryl, call Susie. Susie will help you. And
Flow.
if we think about that and we're looking at back to community, I think if I had to choose one, I choose both. But if I had to choose one, I'm going to choose the brand through myself as a person because that's where I'm going to be able to best excel. That's where I'm going to best be able to go down other verticals or add on to my business. And also, too, I think everything that we do is a complement to that. It's not just, hey, I'm not just a web designer. I'm not just an SEO. And I think when people do that, then it's like, okay, we're just trying to sell services. I'm just trying to bring value to my community. If that value turns into working with somebody, great. But I think it brings that purity and genuine side to it. Like, I'm really here to just help. I want,
Yeah.
if people are listening to this, they're walking away with something saying, I heard Jeff speak on this specific thing. That's going to help me with my business. Not, I heard MetaTech speak on this specific thing and it helped me with my business. MetaTech is the stuff on the shelf that you order, but I want to be the person that's engaging with people when it comes to valuable content. But to each their own. If somebody is really just trying to build a large brand or business, but I look at what is somebody's goals. If somebody is looking to be a large contractor, I think any one of those can work. I think if you're starting out, make sure people know you because think of that message that they're evangelizing. ABC Contractor Group did a fantastic job. Well, okay. Well, if I have ABC Contractor Group in my phone, I'm going to put it under a person. I'm literally looking for that
Yeah.
name. I'm looking for Greg, right? I'm
Right.
not looking for ABC company. That's me. I'm
Yeah.
not everybody, but I believe building out yourself as part of the business. Some people are a bit shy about that. Well, I want to be in the backdrop or I don't like social media. Okay, well, I understand. Cold callers sometimes don't like picking up the phone, but you want to make decisions that are going to give rise to you building your business. And there's an array of things you can draw from. But I think for me, my vote would be the the personal brand for the win.
Yeah. Great insight. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm taking it to heart. I mean, these groups that I've created so far to date, I'm keeping Kevin's name off of it, and all my posts that I've shared in the communities have been from the Contractors Resource Center. That brand, right? I'm trying to do that branding, but as a small independent business owner, I'm kind of rethinking that. Maybe Kevin needs to get some exposure in there. Um, So I gotta rethink about that.
We want Kevin. We want Kevin.
Well,
Yeah,
here's another strategy, if I could, Kevin, to add,
yeah,
and a lot of people don't necessarily think about, is connecting with other people in your industry. You have this robust group that's growing, 20,000 plus. Now, are people thinking about connecting with other folks that are in their field in that industry? I have I look at people that are competition, I look at them more as like, is this somebody I can strategically align with? Lewis
sure,
and I run similar businesses. We're in digital marketing. We're live to the world, right? We can service almost any area, any country, as long as we can connect and speak the language and provide the value. But I've learned that aligning myself with other marketers and people that are in the digital agency space was one of the best moves that I made early on. It may, even though that may seem counterintuitive, but I've seen successful real estate agents connect with other real estate agents instead of looking everybody as
right.
opposition.
Isolated, work as a silo.
Yeah, the wolf pack, right? The wolf pack travels together, right? And, but when somebody works as the silo and the advertising we've seen of the Marlboro Man or these movies that paint the image of beating up 10 people and taking it on themselves or the self-made millionaire, that's theater. That's not real life. We're all interdependent upon one another and we draw from one another. So I've referred business to Lewis. Lewis has referred business to me. We're not
Yeah,
necessarily keeping score. Well, I kind of am. I want to refer more business to him than he refers to me. So, and I'm going to win just because that's the game, right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
becomes this friendly, competitive thing, but it might seem a little counterintuitive to if you're a contractor. Let's say you're an electrician and you're a brand new electrician coming into the trade, is coming into relationship with other electricians. And here's why it works. I'm going to give you one example out of many. You have Joe, who's an electrician up in El Dorado County, and somebody's starting up in El Dorado County. And they're a brand new electrician, but Joe has got so busy with work, or Joe's wife got sick and he had to stay home and take care of his wife, or Joe went on vacation. Joe still has customers that are contacting him. And how great is it that Bill over here, who is really learning from him, he's like, this guy's not only an electrician, but he's learned from me. And I feel good referring a customer over to him because I got to know him. Okay.
right.
So I've seen that happen. I've seen great relationships happen with that. And I've seen people that are truly wealth minded. They're not thinking of, hey, this is just a dog eat dog. It is player versus player on a lot of this. It is competitive.
Yeah, yeah,
But when you learn to travel in a pack and a team, and I love what Lewis says. I'll let him give the food illustration here shortly. That's probably going through his mind. But he gives a really good food illustration as far as size and what you receive when you're just thinking about yourself. So this is not about just selflessness. This is business. This is strategically going in for the win together. You can be Michael Jordan against 10 high school basketball players. You're going to lose if you're Michael Jordan because you got 10 basketball players that are going to beat you. So I think when people have this image in their mind, and I've seen it a lot with the baby boomers and the Gen Xers because we've been taught that, all right, you got to go out and beat your competition. Okay, if people are shady, they don't have a good personality, they don't have integrity, they don't work well with people. Okay, that's my competition. That's people that I don't want to have any
right.
association with, and I want to take all of their business and give it to my friends and for our business. So our tribe is going to beat someone else. But Lewis, you have some good insight on this as well. So why don't you share your thoughts if you would, man?
Yeah, it's been a learned thing for me because I definitely came in, if you and I had met 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago when I got started in this space, I would have really been intimidated and wanted to like keep as much of my stuff out of your sight, right? What if he's going to copy something that I'm doing? What if he takes a value that I put into the groups and takes that? And I see a lot of that with people. And I think, whatever age range you are, whatever generation you're from, that's what we're taught.
Mhm.
As kids, you gotta keep your stuff for yourself, or it's gonna be stolen from you on the playground, right?
Right.
Mine,
Um,
mine, mine.
Yep.
yeah, mine, mine, mine. And what changed it for me, there's a book called The Go-Giver. It's just a little
Yeah,
parable. It's a quick read.
Bob
Um,
Burg.
Interesting read by Bob Berg, and
Great
that
guy. Yeah.
book changed my perspective on business. It's like, who can I help? So we do that for clients, provide as much value as we can. But how can I relate to Jeff, right? And in the example of the electrician, if you're just starting out as an electrician or a contractor, you should be figuring out ways to cake your fellow contractors and somehow let them know they're going to be a little wary of you when they see your truck coming in. A lot of people are anyway. You're going to get to know who they are and if they've got an abundance mindset. But if you can connect with them and get out there and show them, hey, I'm here to help, how can I support you? There are going to be jobs that are too big for me to take on, and
yeah,
I want someone to refer over to. They're going to
yeah,
have jobs that are too small or they're too busy, and they're going to be perfect for you when you're starting out.
yeah, yeah.
The food illustration that Jeff was talking about is, I heard this in another group that I'm in. Is like, would you rather 100% of a grape or 30% of a watermelon?
Hmm,
Right? There's a
Yeah.
big difference. There's a big difference. I mean, it kind of plays off the African proverb too. I've heard it. I always butcher it, but it's like, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I think that can be used for
yeah.
your team,
Good
the way
visuals.
you build, yeah, the way you build your team, and the way you speak to your competitors. And I really think it comes down to just logical sense. It's not even abundance thinking. It's when you're starting, you can take smaller jobs more easily. You're more nimble, and
Yeah,
the bigger competitors out there, they've got big jobs that they're focused on. They've got clients calling them in with small jobs. They'd love to refer them over because they're still seen as the good guy in that equation. And
yeah,
then you can help take care of them.
yeah. Again, going kind of back to these Facebook groups, I certainly see that in some of these vertical specific groups, like um, California HVAC contractors. That groups seem to be really growing the last few months, and I'm starting to see kind of that collaboration amongst HVAC contractors where they're posting a job and another HVAC contractors come in and saying, yeah, this is the vendor I used for this. And so they're really starting to collaborate together. And I see these relationships building. So I'm excited to see these different groups grow, whether it's the plumbing contractor group or roofing contractor group, to be able to facilitate, a platform for these guys and gals potentially to um, to network together and build a relationship. So I certainly can validate that, and I see them again sharing best practices or homeowners coming in and saying I need an ADU that I'm going to build. I'm looking for a good remodeling contractor in Los Angeles. And especially in the California contractor group, I'll see 20 people um, raise their hand and say, pick me. But I'll see a few in there that may, like we talked about earlier, provide some value. And they'll post in the group. Here's an article I wrote about 5 things you should know before you build an ADU. Who do you think that homeowner is going to call?
Mhm.
Right. So, point being, I can certainly see that collaboration in these groups and the value of, again, differentiating yourself from the others.
Finding
So,
places where if I interrupted you, I
yeah,
apologize.
no,
If I could explain in my illustration, my mind is finding areas where you can really connect with somebody. And I'm gonna give you this from the stance as an author and a writer, because I've been a writer for a very long time. And I posted looking for a copywriter. I needed somebody to come in and just provide good copy for me. So I put out an ad through LinkedIn, got about 60 inquiries. Resume. Here's how I'm qualified. Here's my customer service. Here's how I did in school. All of it kind of looks like a blur because it all looks the same to me. So here comes Chad, and Chad says, I read your story, Jeff, about Mr. Hunter, and it really struck me on this part. Okay. I don't care who you are. When it comes to writing, the majority of people, men and women, are very sensitive when it comes to their writing because they're their own biggest critic, right? So when someone comes in there and puts a compliment on an area that you've really critiqued yourself quite a bit, it ignites you and it interests you because here's Chad, all these resumes. Chad didn't send me his resume. Chad came in, took interest in something I did through my brand, an article that I published about a teacher I had that helped me work through dyslexia. And he told me what that meant to him. And I hired Chad. And then I stole Chad's style after I figured out what he did. And I said, I'm going to try that. And then I grew on LinkedIn and I started making connections and I'd order people's books and I'd read them and I'd say, I really enjoyed your book. I have a friend of mine, Carmine Gallo, wrote a book. I How to Talk Like Ted, and it's all about TED Talks. And he's interviewed big names, you name them. And I started researching Carmine to find out that he went to the same high school as me, maybe 14 years ahead of me or whatever. And I said, "Hey," and I told him class of '96. He emails me back right away. We start talking. He goes, "Would you be interested in being in my next book?" Okay, Lewis could have just sent him a resume, right? And using Lewis as an illustration here, but Lewis could have just sent him a resume. But who's Carmine choosing? The person that read his book. It has nothing to do with Jeff Glass. It has nothing to do with Lewis. It has everything to do with I took interest in him. So if there's somebody I want to connect with, I order their book,
Yeah.
I read it, I read one of their articles, and then I just send them a message on LinkedIn. And now I'm connected with those people. If I'm a
Yeah.
contractor and I'm looking at the top niches on LinkedIn, some of the top niches, one of them is contractors. They're in the top 10. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to connect with other contractors. I'm going to build my tribe there. I'm going to build my tribe on Facebook. And each one of these platforms have a different culture to it. So a lot of
Yeah.
people in contracting will learn the trade, they'll learn the craft. But if they spent that amount of time studying their client avatar, studying the person that they're engaging with, that's where I've seen clients, I've seen firsthand testimony after testimony. I coach them on this because I learned because there was a time when I wasn't studying this, but when you're studying the person and how to connect with that audience, that's when the business skyrockets. That's when they unlock
Yeah.
the next level is when they lean in and understand the audience as much as their craft. If there's one key takeaway, that's what I would leave here is learn about them, and study how to connect with them and bring value.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, we're coming up to almost an hour. We've covered a ton of stuff. Great specific tactics and strategies. Jeff, why don't you share with us, I guess, how can folks get a hold of you if they're interested in learning more about MetaTech or more specifically Jeff Glass? I guess they'd have to order one of your books and build
Right.
that connection with you to make that big impression, right? So
Sure.
how would people get a hold of you, Jeff?
You can find me on Amazon. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can look up MetaTech. We prefer to connect through the social channels. So you can find MetaTech on Facebook. You can also go online to metatech3.com and find us there. My team is available to help with that. But if you're trying to connect with me, shoot me a message on LinkedIn would be the best way to find me. Book wise, I'm the author of Alpha Heroes. I'm also the author of the Alpha brand, which will be coming out soon. And that would be the best way to reach me.
Perfect. Lewis, how can folks get a hold of yourself and Blue Crocus?
Absolutely. Yeah, and Kevin, appreciate you putting this together. This is cool. I mean, even though we're bringing value every time we talk about it, it kind of sparks new ideas that we can bring back. For me, anyways.
Lewis, how can folks get hold of yourself?
Yeah, easiest way is social media again. Facebook is where I'm the most active. LinkedIn, you can reach out as well, but Facebook, I'm the most active. You can find me at lewisvandervalk.com as well or bluecrocus.ca. reach out there. I'm not an author yet. We do have a book coming out in December called Blue Collar ABCs. So it's a kid's book focused around the trades. So definitely check that out.
Nice.
Whenever you see this.
It's been a great talk, so I appreciate everything.
Jeff, Lewis, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Great discussion. All right, guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it,
Thank
Kevin.
you.